big Hollywood sunglasses and light the torch, because it's cellar time. Welcome to the Crack Cellar, as the prophecy was once trafficked into the Barbary sex trade. I'm Two-Spirit Penguin Daniel.
Do you want me to be Broadcaster Nickels?
Got a real good pod today, Broadcaster Nickels. What do you think, man? Talking about some real cool stuff today, aren't we, Broadcaster Nickels?
I'm really recovering from that dab still. It hit me.
I feel like we've been waiting to preview Venom forever, but they just refuse to release a trailer. I feel like been waiting for this trailer to drop forever. And then
The question is, were you impressed?
The trailer? Yeah. But what was I impressed with Army of the Dead? Now that's a question, Broadcaster Nickels.
Ugh. I tried to do my best Snake Plissken, but it failed miserably. Ugh.
There were several triumphs and several more failures. But what I will say,
Dave Bautista can act. I'm going to call him... Wait a minute. What's that old... God damn it. They had him in Warcraft. They weren't the catapults. What did the humans have? Orcs had the catapult. Ballistas.
Oh, the ballistas.
Dave Ballista. That's what we're going to call it.
I like it. But before we get into that, Broadcaster Nickels, let's do a little hot Metroid Prime 4 talk. Because, man, oh man, have you heard the news? I know you haven't. And that news is that Metroid Prime 4 has been totally scrapped and is being redeveloped from the ground up by the original creator at Retro Studios. The original creator of Metroid Prime 1, Metroid Prime 2, 3, they are now making 4. They ditched the C team that they had making this aborted version.
This aborted version that had been cooking for how long?
Since 2016, it's rumored.
Oh my god.
This is a 5-year failure.
You know, I used to think when I heard games like this, remember when like StarCraft Ghost got scrapped?
Oh.
And I was just like, man, how can a company do that? But now I just kind of cry for the companies. I'm like, that's a lot of money.
Yep.
That's a fucking lot of money.
It sure is nowadays. Fucking per pixel price developing a game is so astronomical. It's no wonder that they just try and ass rape you.
Especially for big existing IPs like Metroid, you know, right off the cuff, they're spending money on that game, you know, on any idea. Whatever idea is getting approved has money behind it because it's Metroid. It's not like a small game where a cool idea gets implemented bad. There's a lot less money involved with that idea. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And this one is, man, Nintendo, basically, this news came out via Nintendo directly. They did a video stream, like a development update stream with like one of the lead guys at Nintendo. And he basically comes on and does like this interview of shame where he like announces to everyone like, we know you've been anticipating Metroid Prime 4 forever and we've let you down and we know that we have failed and now we're going back and we're getting the original creator and he's going to do it right this time. And like this really like all call to arms sort of development update. I love the way Nintendo does business, man. Like they feel like this oddity in the year 2021.
Japanese, man, they're like, you go out there and you fall on your sword in front of them. You do it. It's just how their culture is. They're like, you're going to fucking eat that shit.
Yeah.
Eat it well in front of them.
Yeah, dude. It's like a self-shaming that it's weird, man. It's definitely
I think it's
not
like
American.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely their honorable path to redemption in most severe cases. That's usually their route to recovery, if there is any.
Yeah.
10,000 apologies. The
Yeah.
infinite bow.
Well, I'm not going to lie. I was really worried about Metroid Prime 4 before this news came out. I was thinking it was going to be a dud, and obviously it was, but we'll never find out just how bad of a dud it was going to be.
Oh, come on now. Like 8-10 years from now, maybe a little longer, IGN's going to have exclusive footage of the what if Metroid Prime 4.
The game's so bad it could have changed the history of gaming. We give you the OG.
Fucking, I feel like IGN translates in Spanish to cockroach or something. I'm not quite sure. La cucaracha.
Broadcaster Nickels, I've heard from very reliable sources.
I don't eat bat.
Now, don't be too hasty. Think about this. You've done a lot of drinking in your life.
One time. I'm not sure.
You've gone to Asian restaurants. Maybe a little intoxicated, right? Right? You know, maybe a few pass.
I've had horse.
Confirmed.
True story one time. I know this isn't Metroid Prime 4, but I went to a Taco Bell one time.
Hey, it could tie into Metroid Prime 4. You don't know that.
I went to a Taco Bell one time. Then, roughly a year or so later, I'm reading the newspaper. Well, Dad's reading the newspaper. I'm reading a section. And that Taco Bell gets busted for selling horse meat. And I'm just like, huh. Well, it wasn't bad.
Yeah. It's funny, whenever you taste a meat that you've eaten this meat so many times in your life and you just have it and you're like, this is good, but it tastes different. There's something different about this. Is this grass-fed? Like, is this... What is this? Those are the moments that there's probably a 50-50 it was horse.
It's a proprietary mixture.
Resident Evil Reverse. Verse. This is an arcane game that we are forbidden to play. Broadcaster Nickels, the gods at Capcom have said you are not prepared, much like Illidan told us before we stepped into the dark portal.
Capcom's really like they're a weird company. Because like you gotta imagine, like I have to at least assume that most people over there are regular sane people, and like they got some dude with wears sunglasses in the building at all times, and he's just like, we're delaying RE-verse until peak hype, and everyone's like, what hype? And he's just like, there's hype, and everyone's like, of course there is, sir. Okay. You know, like I feel like they are in disillusion over there. I don't get why they would delay this game. It doesn't look that fun. It looks like, if anything, they're damaging the overall population of this game as time goes on, because once people beat RE8 and it gets closer to other games coming out and new content for existing games comes out, the idea of RE versus release becomes less and less exciting. And it's not that exciting right now, let's be real.
Yeah, so you think it's basically supposed to be a sequel to Mercenaries, essentially?
I don't know. It's been, because I didn't really pay attention to the bonus game in RE7, nor that much in RE6. I think RE6 is where this original game mode came from. It's like Mercenaries on crack. There's a whole bunch of characters. You have different... I don't know if they had different loadouts back then, or this came stock with just one. I think they actually had different loadouts that you could unlock or pick from. So that's... And I don't know if you remember RE4's mercenary mode too much, but it was kind of like that, but it was a little bare bones. You know, you could get a couple... There's a few new characters you could unlock, and they just came with set items. You know, they didn't have like different loadouts and costumes and stuff like that. So I think that was the main evolution of it in RE6 was just, obviously RE6's engine, which gave him combat moves and stuff. But on top of that, there was more loadouts and costumes. And I think just more characters in general. And then in RE7, I don't know what they did, to be honest. I know they had something, but again, I don't remember what it was. So I imagine, and I already played Mercenaries in RE8. I don't know if you have, but once you beat the game, you unlock a offline solo game called Mercenaries, and it's very bare bones. It's very stripped down and bare bones compared to what even RE4's was.
Interesting.
So I imagine that's on purpose because RE-verse is going to be the main content for that type of gameplay.
So how much do you want to bet RE-verse is a battle royale?
Don't think it can be a battle royale.
Oh, you're telling the dev team they don't got the technical chops. I like that, Broadcaster Nickels. I like it.
That's not fair. I don't think they got.
Sit down, Capcom.
They got technical chops. It's just or Resident Evil as a game is just not built for a BR. It moves too slow.
Well,
I mean, think about
it could be, but I'm not really familiar with that engine. Like,
also, I don't think you can't move and shoot in RE8, can you?
I haven't played RE8 yet, so I don't know. You tell me.
I don't think you can. I'm trying to remember now because I beat it, but I don't. Yeah, you just stand still when you shoot.
Well,
RE6 tried changing that, but there was a whole bunch of backlash to it.
Yeah, well, yeah, I didn't like it. I remember I was a part of that backlash. Here's the thing. Battle Royales don't have to be Warzone. Like, you could do... I always thought that it would be sick to do a Metal Gear Solid Battle Royale. Like, you could do espionage action. Low-key, hiding behind walls, fucking strangling people, hiding in boxes.
Well, I mean, that's not Resident Evil's only weakness for BRs. I mean, it's still like... For what Resident Evil is, it's a clunky shooter. And that's by design.
Yeah.
Like it's an archaic shooter design.
I think you could have a clunky shooter that's a battle royale. I don't think that's a showstopper for me. I'd give it a shot.
Maybe. I can't imagine player count wise what. Now, if it was a BR in the sense of like, what's that game called? It's pretty much where there's a bunch of horror villains and one person's an iconic horror villain, and then there's 6 people on a map and they all have to run away from the villain. It's kind of like a Juggernaut type mode, but it's just humans versus a monstrosity. If they did something like that, I could see possibly, like, as far as like BR goes, with Resident
that wouldn't
Evil,
be a BR, but that would be cool.
Yeah, like I just can't see like a pure, like what a BR as we know it really being fun, because there's no real cover system. The levels themselves aren't really designed for cover. They might be able to all build it up from scratch, but I just think as far as assets we've seen in the game and what in the history established on what developers are willing to do within the lifespan of a single game, I just can't imagine a BR coming out and that being what RE-verse is. I think it's just what they've showcased essentially, which is the continuation of what I originally saw in RE6.
Interesting. Yeah, probably. I don't know nothing about that. My RE knowledge is deep in the past, much like my comic book knowledge. But in this case, Broadcaster Nickels, my comic book knowledge...
gave up, soldier.
My comic book knowledge is literally in the heart of what we're about to preview. So this is going to be sort of a different preview, because usually you're the one with more of the comic book knowledge than me. In this case, it's either going to be equal or I'm going to have more. I don't know which, but there's no way in hell you know more about this shit than I do. That's my guess. What do you think? What do you think?
My powers beyond your comprehension. Strike me down now.
Well then,
I will grow more powerful.
shall we get to our preview of Venom? Let There Be Carnage.
I quit.
What's that? You want more Crack Cellar? This is good. Join your lords on Twitter at The Crack Cellar and Facebook.com/The Crack Cellar.
Hey, you over there. Are you a straight-up Chad or a strong woman? Well, you can find us on Apple Podcasts and your favorite podcasting app. Or, if you're a straight-up beta cuck, find us on YouTube with the rest of the Cloud Chasers. And we're back with our preview of Venom, Let There Be Carnage. Broadcaster Nickels. Today is a cosmic day. Well, not today. The day of 2017 when the original Venom first came out, and that post-credit scene where we found out that Woody Harrelson was going to play Carnage. But more specifically, Cletus Cassidy, the first host of Carnage, who is the best host by a country mile, and also the most psychotic, crazy motherfucker in, I think, all of Spider-Man. I cannot think of many villains as fucked up as old Cletus. Woody Harrelson also played a natural-born killer in the early 90s that I believe he is going to draw a lot of inspiration from in this performance.
I've only read like one comic with Carnage, and well, I've read a few comics that had Carnage in it, but the only one I've read that was starring him, I think, was the premise was like he took over a farm town.
What?
Like a whole farm town.
When was this comic released?
I think it probably was late, I don't know, probably 2008, maybe a little bit later.
Yeah, I was 100% checked out by then, so I don't even know which host it was at that point. I know it's not Cletus, but
yeah,
there were several hosts. I quit reading comics basically right when they transitioned Carnage to his second host. That's kind of around when I stopped reading comics.
Oh, well, that was short-lived, because Cletus, I think, is still currently the host of Carnage.
What?
Yeah.
Did they like do a reboot of the universe or something? Because that
I mean, they've done that. They've done that several times. Come on, man. You should know that. They've had like, I think, 3 or 4 main reboots.
Well, the Carnage I know started in the early 90s in Spider-Man, and the reason I'll never forget that is because I own the comic he first appeared in.
Yeah.
It was a Spider-Man comic, I think early 100s. I want to say like maybe issue 118 or 122 or something like that. I remember the cover of it to this day when I close my eyes. It is a really weird cover. It had the Fantastic Four on it. And I was not a fan of the Fantastic Four. And I remember when I first got the comic and I saw them on it, I'm like, God damn it. I did not understand what I was about to read, which was the introduction of the greatest villain in Spider-Man as far as I'm concerned. But what say you? Do you view Carnage as the greatest villain of Spider-Man?
Greatest villain for Spider-Man?
Yeah, in Spider-Man history. Because Venom also was a villain, but he turned sort of like Vegeta. He became like the Vegeta to Goku. Eventually, that's when I stopped reading as well.
Kind of became an anti-hero, but yeah, I mean, as far as like pure threat goes, yeah, I would say that, or not huge on Spider-Man now, so there might be a bigger villain for him now. I would say kind of maybe like Green Goblin.
Yeah.
Because Osborn, he's pretty evil. He's pretty maniacal. But then Carnage is just like pure, like, alien threat, you know?
Yeah. So I know everything about what I think this movie is based on. Now, they could totally abandon the premise of Cletus Cassidy and his backstory the way that it was originally presented. But from the trailer, it looks like they are at least partially using that source material. That Cletus Cassidy, I cannot understate how evil of a motherfucker he is. Like, like his track record, I'm not going to say exactly what he's done because they might show it in this movie and I don't want to spoil it. But, like, it's the sort of evil shit where you look at them and you're just like, that's like fucking Satan incarnate. Like, that is like some of the evilest shit that you could possibly even think to do. Just like stuff that you're just like, but why? Like, why go that far type of shit. This is not like Eddie's slightly delinquent brother that's like a little worse than Eddie or something like that. This is like the son of Sam with a symbiote. And it's part of the reason why Carnage is so fucking awesome. Like, he's just like a fucking amazingly dark villain for comic books, especially at the time. At the time, comic books weren't going into really dark subjects very often like that. Not at Marvel, anyway. And I would say, at the time of release, this was probably the most evil character they ever made, in my opinion. But that's not the only reason why Carnage is fucking awesome. His powers are awesome. He sort of is like the Liquid Terminator a little bit of the symbiotes. Like, he creates weapons out of his, like, the tendrils that grow out of him. And like, you can even see in the trailer, like, there's a part at the end of the trailer where it shows him with his fucking back wing full of weapons created out of his back from like 100 tentacles. That shit is what makes Carnage really cool too. Like, he is unique and evil as fuck. And I am so psyched that we're getting a fucking movie with him. It's just like this awesome thing that I never thought I'd get to see as a fucking Carnage movie of all things. And not only that, they give us fucking the natural born killer himself, the money train bandit, Woody Harrelson.
Yeah. It's interesting because I'm wondering where they're going to go without Spider-Man. That's the thing. That always makes me scratch my head with them building this universe. Independent universe. It's rather they're just all playing dumb, and one day they're hoping to negotiate some groundbreaking deal so they can finally have the, you know, the combination of their IPs, I guess, or whatever, and they can finally do a crossover. But right now, it just seems like you're just going to use all your big names. Like, Carnage is coming in the second movie.
Okay, well, I will just say that there is a crossover that happens right after he's introduced into Spider-Man called Maximum Carnage. And it is basically what I think this movie is leading into. Or perhaps partially what it is. I'm not sure exactly from the trailer.
No,
but
I'm
there
talking
is
about
source material. There's a lot of source material out there without Spider-Man, is my point. There is a Carnage comic book. Like, he was not always tethered only to Spider-Man. He just started out as a Spider-Man villain.
Yeah, for sure. I'm just talking about how long are you gonna? How many Venom movies are you gonna have without Spider-Man showing up? It just seems kind of weird. Like, I know. At some point, they're gonna have to like drastically rewrite the arc of Venom if they keep this up.
Do you think that they can't bring Spider-Man in because Disney won't let them, or do you think they're choosing not to bring Spider-Man in?
I couldn't tell you, to be honest.
I'm curious about that, honestly. Very
I
curious.
definitely think there's red tape that's stopping him.
Yeah.
But
because you could do some cool things, like, because Venom obviously puts Venom as the hero, the protagonist. So you could bring in one of the eviler versions of Spider-Man into
well, yeah, but I mean, Tom Holland. I mean, the original way Venom comes in is infecting Spider-Man first.
Yep.
You know, and he never got to Spider-Man, so that never happened. And he got to Eddie Brock first, which is
You know
new,
that Deadpool was actually the first.
the first host.
Yeah. But he was only in him for like less than a minute. Because he was afraid that Deadpool was gonna fucking corrupt him, so he bounced out of Deadpool. Yeah, I love Carnage. It's such a cool mythology, and he's deeply entwined with Spider-Man and the X-Men. God, see, there's so many things I wish I could say that could be spoilers for this movie and maybe the next movie. It's really hard to say, but this is right in my wheelhouse, man. I'm so happy about this movie. I really want it to be good. If this movie sucks, it's going to be devastating to me. It's going to be like one of those devastating L's when it comes to like movies. In a lifetime of watching movies, there's few that just devastated me. Like Independence Day 2, that was one of them. And Venom: Let There Be Carnage could be.
God, that was such a terrible fucking sequel.
It made the Matrix sequels look like works of art, man. It was very sad. Very sad. But yeah, what do you think about the comedy aspect in the trailer? Because I found it interesting that they really tried to play up the comedy at the beginning of the trailer and at the end of the trailer, almost as like a message to say is that this is still a comedic take on Venom.
Yeah, that's another point of confusion for me, to be honest.
I think it's because they know how evil Carnage is, and they kind of want to like hammer in. It's like, guys, don't worry, we're not getting into like dark arts shit here. It's still going to be the lighthearted Venom. Yeah, we'll see, man. I don't know, because there's also some really strong horror vibes at times in the trailer, like the music and the direction felt very horror movie-esque. So
I don't think it's going to be rated R. I can guarantee you it's not going to be rated R.
That's sad. They really should go R. Like, look at the success of
It'd be
Deadpool,
smart,
man. God,
it'd be smart. Like Venom could be their Deadpool, their rated R, universe film. I could see that, but Venom wasn't rated R.
No, it wasn't. It was rumored to be for a while. I remember hearing that it might be a rated R, and I was really excited about it. And then when I heard it wasn't, I was just like, God damn it. But
now, if that comes out differently, then that's good news. That gives me more hope. But the fact that they've already established a different take on Venom already, Spider-Man hasn't shown up, it's not going to be rated R, but they're bringing Carnage in. It just, I'm sure it's going to be. I'm gonna go see it. If it goes to theaters, I'll definitely go watch it.
Well, yeah, as long as they don't try and make you wear a mask. I ain't fucking wearing no mask in a movie theater.
But Daniel, we're both fully vaccinated.
Oh, you're right, Broadcaster Nickels. I forgot about our trip to the vaccine store.
Yeah, bleep your name out.
Anyway, moving on. Broadcaster Nickels, what did you think about the interactions with Miss Shen or Mrs. Shen? I forget the owner of the bodega that Eddie and Venom shop at.
I think she's sus.
She is, huh?
Because she's a little too comfortable with what's going on. Makes me think she's a plant. You know what I'm saying?
She gave me real Men in Black vibes. Like, that dude who owned like the jewelry shop that they shook down and he's like pretending to be a human. Then at the very end, he like reveals that he's an alien. You're like, yeah, that guy was definitely an alien. That's kind of the vibe I'm getting from Miss Shen.
He probably has bodies in those freezers. It's probably Yakuza. Should be like, don't worry, Venom. I'll hide you behind the Caucasus. Carnage will never smell you.
Do you, without giving any spoilers, I'm not even sure if you
hold on. I thought about this great thought though. Like, then Carnage obviously like smells them out, right? And like, there's like this fight scene in the meat locker, kind of akin to like Gary Busey getting chopped in half in Predator 2. You know what I'm saying? But it's Miss Chen instead though.
Okay,
she just gets fucking disked right in half, just like.
See, that's why we need the hard R for Let There Be Carnage. Maybe they'll surprise us and they'll just say, surprise, bitches, this is rated R. I would be so fucking excited if that happened, but you're probably right. It probably won't.
Man, what if Gary Busey was casted as Carnage?
I would have been puzzled, but delighted. Puzzled, but delighted is how.
I think the hype train for this movie would have been real.
He honestly, man, you might have just called out the clear number 2 behind Woody for sure. Now that I think about it. Now that I like old school Gary Busey, like the sane one, no. But like the hit by the bus Gary Busey or whatever the fuck happened to that guy, yes, he could definitely play a mean Cletus Cassidy. Now that I think about
Gary Busey's kind of like a Pokemon. He's evolved. First there was Gary Busey when I was a child, then there was the second evolution, which was bike accident Gary Busey, and then there's post. Club, what was that MTV show? Club Med or whatever.
Oh god, wasn't it
post Club Med? I think.
Wasn't he on like the Dr. Drew rehab show too or something?
Yeah. Oh, he could have showed up for many more, but the original one, like post the bike accident, where he actually showed back up on television, it was this rehab medical facility show for. Or resort for rich people, and Gary Busey was one of the stars on it, and he was just so gangster. I just remember him having a fucking strong, powerful mimosa in the morning, and everyone was just like eyeballing him. They're like, Gary, you shouldn't do that. And he's just like, he snapped immediately. The first bitch that fucking looked at him wrong, he's just like, don't you ever fucking tell me what to do. And I was like, guys, let the man have his drink.
Oh, Gary Busey.
But that's the third and final form. That's the Gary Busey I know. The one that made it post or past the bike accident and really matured into who he was going to be for the rest of his life.
Yeah. The man is a national treasure.
He is.
Question. Will any other symbiotes show up? So everyone who's watching Venom or has watched Venom clearly knows that there are more symbiotes than just Venom. They already saw Riot in the first one. Now they're seeing Carnage again. So it's not a real big spoiler to say there are a lot of different symbiotes. And there is a huge, epic mythology behind the symbiotes. Do you know anything about that? The Clintar? Do you know what the Clintar is?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't want to go into specifics, but there is a badass fucking backstory to these symbiotes, and their leader is one of the more badass characters in comic book history. And
he's recent too.
Yeah, that's one of the few recent things that I've actually seen in comic books is some of the Clintar stuff. And my question:
you're talking about Noel?
Yes, I am.
Yeah,
and like this, like he existed before the universe existed. Shit like that piques my interest. When you start talking about this thing existed before existence existed, that's the type of shit I'm into, and that's what Noel is, and the whole backstory with them is sick as fuck, and I really hope that they go into it. Do you think they will? Do you think that this is leading up to more symbiotes showing up? Do you think there'll be a surprise at the end, kind of like how Carnage was a surprise at the end of the first Venom?
Well, the fact that Null, the black symbiote sword and the army and like all those arcs and stuff like that and the planet and that is all super recent and it's exclusive to Venom. So I don't like it's probably the best thing they have going for them.
Oh, it definitely is.
If they're never
Yeah.
gonna include Spider-Man, then yeah, I definitely think that's where they're gonna pivot. But them including Carnage is kind of an outlier because Carnage isn't really a part of that. And to my knowledge, Carnage never really came back as like a threat. I think he kind of, things happened that I'm not really going to discuss because that might be a spoiler. But just he never really came back in the whole 4 to 5 years I was really reading comics. Carnage was never a serious threat.
He kind of became a side character.
Yeah, and so
which is sad.
Yeah, so and Noel became, as far as like in the symbiote storylines and stuff like that, Noel was definitely the big baddie, and his arc actually just recently came to a close. Like that whole arc is now officially over as of like last month.
Yeah,
2 months ago.
I think I only saw the beginning of it. I don't remember exactly when it was, but it was a long time ago. It wasn't that long ago, but it was quite a few years ago. When I have
a few comics, I think, where there's whispers of that arc starting to happen, but I got out of comics like right before it really took off.
So we're both kind of in agreement that more symbiotes are going to be showing up, and that they'll probably be a surprise at the end of this movie. And that being said,
in the tradition, I think they're going to use Carnage as a catalyst for like explaining how symbiotes from here forth is going to be like made and stuff like that, like how to expect a new symbiote to come, like, or like how a new symbiote's birthed, like they're probably going to explain certain connections. They're probably they might allude to at the very end of the movie the planet. I can't see them, I mean, unless they go super like fast and just in your face and just a whole bunch of shit happens right in the beginning of the movie just to get you like up to speed more, I can't imagine them mentioning the planet unless it's like an Easter egg at the very end. Because that's like just so far ahead from Eddie Brock meeting Cletus Cassidy for the first time.
Well, yeah, so it depends on the pace in which they kind of go through the Carnage. Like this movie could be the only movie with Carnage in it, or they could do 3 more movies with Carnage in it as well, depending on if they're going to adapt Maximum Carnage into these movies at all. I'm not sure what direction they're going to go in, but yeah, this leads me to my next and final question to you on this preview, Broadcaster Nickels. Will this be the last non-Disney Marvel movie, or do you think they will retain the license? That would be Sony Studios. Do you think they'll retain the license to keep making these, or do you think Disney is going to they're going to force choke? Got to keep it topical here. They're going to force choke the fuck out of Sony Studios and take back Spider-Man and Venom.
No, and I probably would have agreed with you before the whole Star Wars debacle and coronavirus and all that, but now the long-term profits of the MCU continuity is kind of been shaken up a little bit, with theaters closing for one, and the idea of projecting how many people are actually going to go back to theaters over a certain amount of time. I mean, there's also the big one, which their last phase that everyone liked is over. Most of the beloved characters are gone. I mean, they've already kind of had some bad run-ins in the news for their current shows going, like what's it called, The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Like I don't think it was too well received. WandaVision was good, but it's just, I feel like
feels like it might be an outlier. WandaVision.
Yeah, indeed. Like I'm really wondering how well their Phase 4 is going to do. Like they might introduce who the Fantastic Four is going to be. They might introduce Doom, and I might be singing a whole different fucking tune, right? But my gut tells me they're going to just keep on getting woker and woker, and it's just going to destroy the brand. And as the nature with all this stuff, they know it, but they're going to do it anyways, and it's going to be what it is. It's just going to be what it is.
Yep.
And I think that is going to give power to Sony Productions to keep Spider-Man. Now, if we were talking pre-Phase 4 plans and all that crap, definitely. It was looking like that train was going to keep going, and Spider-Man was eventually going to fall in the hands. All those IP assets were going to fall in the hands of Marvel. But now it's just like, I think Sony has the upper hand now. If they can make enough money with Venom, they have no reason. They get subsidiaries from letting Marvel use Spider-Man in their movies, right? And I don't even know how long that's going to last. I think he has one more movie. Is that the contract?
Yeah.
So, I think Sony's riding smooth right now.
I hope so. I just want there to be like a rebellion against Disney. We need to fucking pull Star Wars back. We need to pull Marvel back. Fuck Disney. And with that, Broadcaster Nickels, are you ready to get to our review that is of a very non-Disney nature? Zack Snyder's Army of the Dead.
I love Aquaman.
Ryan Reynolds is a great thespian. And we're back with our review of Zack Snyder's Army of the Dead. And the creator of this movie describes it as the following. Following a zombie outbreak in Las Vegas, a group of mercenaries take the ultimate gamble, venturing into the quarantine zone to pull off the greatest heist ever attempted. Broadcaster Nickels, what do you think about Zack Snyder's Netflix version of Ocean's 11?
I love it. Zombie George Clooney was really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I was shockingly abhorred by the lack of Brad Pitt.
Clooney.
Listen, dude, me and Clooney are like this. Now that Brad Pitt fella, he needs to beat it. Because
I don't think being cool with Clooney's in right now. I think he was on the Epstein list.
He probably was, wasn't he?
I think he was.
Dude, you know the weirdest thing? Not to start the Army of the Dead review with some hot Epstein talk. Broadcaster Nickels, did you know that there's a shocking amount of female comedians on the Epstein flight logs? Like a shocking amount. Like almost every female comedian that you've heard their name is on the Epstein flight logs.
What?
Yeah. I'm not kidding, man. Wanda Sykes, to just drop one down. There's some really weird names on that flight log.
Oh, that ugly little gremlin. I'm sure she was hiring fucking elite pedo leaders. Fucking fuck little boys or whatever. That doesn't surprise me one bit.
I don't know, man.
Wait a minute. Wanda Sykes is a lesbian.
Yeah, dude.
So she was fucking little girls. That was Epstein's specialty. That doesn't surprise me one bit.
Yeah, well, this is definitely adjacent to Zack Snyder's Army of the Dead, and we'll get to that in our official Cage rating. We'll explain how this Epstein flight log ties in to Zack Snyder's Army of the Dead.
Anyways, watch this movie. Probably knows this Army of the Dead has more morals. Fucking whatever happened on that island.
But seriously, Zack Snyder, his Netflix jump feels very jarring after watching a 4-hour-long, $1 billion budget version of Justice League that he just released. Like, you go from that to this sort of 2.5-hour long sort of sci-fi channel budget zombie movie was Really weird.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really know. I thought honestly, Army of Dead budget wise was actually pretty impressive. I thought it was gonna be really cheesy, which it was. Don't get
It
me
was
wrong.
cheesy for sure.
But it was cheesy in a good way. They pulled off the good cheese, which is hard to do.
They did, but I'm gonna say the CG was like C-list. Like it was
Yeah, that's
okay, but it was like something that you'd see like on a television show at best. It didn't seem like a high budget movie at all in terms of CG.
I felt like for how long it was, because it was 2.5 hours. What was it, 2 hours and 38 minutes or something like that?
Yeah, and they could have chopped 30 minutes out of that movie easy. It was a little too long.
I felt like they had too much going on in that show, and not enough of it was explained. Like, now obviously there may or may not be a sequel, but it's just like for the movie by itself, it kind of, for what it was good, but it kind of just was, what's the word? Bland, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It didn't really have a strong sense of purpose.
Yeah. One thing I liked about it is it felt like he was returning to the 300 style cinematography and direction more than like his recent stuff. There were some scenes, especially in that early intro that they did where they introduced all the characters like they were fucking...
That was my favorite part of the movie.
Yeah, like they were like fucking anime characters. Like that part there reminded me a lot of 300, sort of just like the over the top cool cheesiness. Like there's bad cheesy and there's good cheesy. When that dude when he kicks him into the pit in 300, that is cool cheesy. Like that's what we want from Zack Snyder, and that I felt like there's some parts of this movie that kind of attained that. But there's a lot that didn't.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anything will ever really come close to how iconic the first 300 was.
Probably not.
It was just, as far as the first time seeing that slow-mo type action, first time seeing that story on the big screen, Gerard Butler's breakthrough role. I mean, there's a few elements going on there that just really made that a blockbuster movie. But
don't forget about Cersei Lannister. She was in that too. She was
dude. You gotta see those tates.
Yeah, man. That was
she also got raped by that fucking rat. I forgot. I felt bad for her. I was just like, you should have just broke his neck. You look stronger than him.
Yeah, man. 300. He'll never be able to live up to that movie. It's sad, but it's just kind of like, Christopher Nolan has the same problem a little bit. It's going to be hard for him to ever live up to Inception or any of those like super classic old school Christopher Nolan movies. I mean, Tenet was good, but like you look at it and you're like, it's not comparable to his early work. Yeah. Same with Zack Snyder.
Lightning strikes, that's just how it is. Sometimes it's you, sometimes it's not.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get hit by lightning twice. That's happened to people. It literally has happened to people, but
Yeah. Well,
it's fair.
I think part of that is I think Zack Snyder might be losing his edge a little bit. I think that his wife might kind of be running the show now. I don't know if you've read interviews or seen any of the press with them lately, but it almost feels sort of like Jill and Joe Biden, where when you see interviews with Joe Biden, you can just kind of see Jill like handling him in the back and like guiding his statements and like sort of like correcting him when he says something off brand. Like, no, this is what you meant, honey. This is what you meant, honey. Like there's a lot of that going on right now with the Schneider family. And I think that the biggest symptom of that you can see in this movie, well, there's a few symptoms, but one of them is the Chris D'Elia recast. Did you notice it? Do you know about it at all?
Oh yeah.
So Tig Notaro, the helicopter pilot, was actually Chris D'Elia, and they filmed this entire goddamn movie with Chris D'Elia as that character. They spent
for sure,
like, I think $15 million digitally erasing him and inserting Tig Notaro into his role with none of the original. They didn't reshoot any of these scenes, dude. They just inserted her into this movie.
It was actually pretty impressive.
It was impressive, but every time I saw her, all I could think of is like, cool. Like, you just erased this guy and nothing, like everything that he supposedly did, none of it was illegal, and almost everything that's come out since then has basically exonerated him, not to the point where he's a good guy. I don't think he's a great guy. I think that he is kind of a perv, and
for the record, he's not. He's not a good guy.
And I don't like his comedy either. I'm not a fan of Chris D'Elia. I actually hate Chris D'Elia. I kind of
he's always, his comedy is always fucking super pompous and egotistical.
Yeah.
He thinks he's the shit.
He is in like that class of comedian with like Tony Hinchcliffe, where I just like hate them. I want to punch them in the face. So I'm not a big Chris D'Elia like defender, but I'm just saying this felt gross. What they did to him with no proof, only just some vague accusations from some people that really probably just want some money. What happened most likely is that they thought that they were going to marry Chris D'Elia. He was just having sex, and they got mad and decided to make up some stories and to ruin his reputation. That is 99% what happened here. And he just got erased. His career is erased. He got erased from this movie, and it felt dirty watching it.
He's not over. I mean, he got his...
Oh, he'll make money. Don't get me wrong, but his movie career's over. He's never going to be in a movie now. Like, any chance of him becoming a movie star is over.
Give it time. Give it time, bro. What about Mel Gibson?
Mel Gibson...
That guy got caught on a phone call drunk as fuck.
Mel Gibson is fucking Mel Gibson.
Referring to him as a pack of animals, dude. I mean, that guy,
all right.
He got
here's what I'm saying.
That man was amazing.
Here's what I'm saying. Kevin Spacey still hasn't made a movie yet, and he's fucking Kevin Spacey.
Yeah. Oh, he's an amazing fucking actor, all right?
He is Kevin Spacey, and he hasn't come back. What chance do you think Chris fucking D'Elia has, a hack with no talent? He got lucky to get this role in the first place.
Mainly just because Chris D'Elia is young-ish still, and when Mel messed up for the first time, he was somewhat youngish. When Kevin Spacey fucked up is pretty recent, and he's kind of old.
Oh,
he's already come off multiple successes. He don't need no money. Yeah, I mean,
well, neither does Chris D'Elia. You know,
you don't know that.
Well, no. What I'm saying is he can make money doing podcasts and whatever the rest of his life. He still has a fan base. People still like him. He can still make money. Just not the kind of money he might have made if he became a movie star based on this movie. And I'm not crying for him or anything. I'm just saying it felt dirty. Every time I saw Tig Notaro on the screen, I'm like, I like Tig Notaro. I like her as an actress. This just feels dirty. I feel like I'm walking on someone's grave when I watch these scenes.
Yeah, I felt bad for Tig. Because I was just like, man, because you're doing good in this movie, and now everyone just knows you're like cut into this movie, and we don't know if like all the lines you're saying are Chris D'Elia's lines, and like you watched all of his tape and like are just pretty much like copying his mannerisms and like take on the scene. Like we'll never know if it's Tig or if it's really Chris. You know,
exactly.
And I think that's just a fucking shame for Tig.
It sucks for both of them.
She did a really good job.
Yeah,
I was really surprised going in knowing that, and I was like, man, it's gonna be an eyesore. But she did a great job.
Yeah, it was. I agree with you there. It was masterfully done. Her acting performance was good. I feel bad for both of them. It's just I don't think that they should have put the audience in the position they put us in. With this type of thing, this digital erasure, it's not cool. Like, it's one thing if he was convicted in a court of law of doing something heinous, right? If he went, like, let's just say theoretically that Chris D'Elia was charged with child rape and he was convicted of it. They had a rape kit, evidence, they convicted of him, door slammed shut. Then I don't care. I don't like it doesn't have the bad feeling associated because it's like justice was done. This guy is a fucking monster. He shouldn't be in this movie. No one should have to see this guy for what he's done. But all that all he actually did was send some creepy text messages to some 17, 18-year-old girls. That's it. Which is like, okay, he's not a cool dude, but this whole like judge, jury, executioner on social media thing every single person on the planet should be terrified right now looking at how this is going, because it's not going to stop with Crystalia. Someday it's going to hit the suburbs, man. It will progress, and it's just not good.
Sure. Yeah. Well, the idea of it really is that the people calling him out for these actions are Puritans themselves. Like, it's like, let's look at your guys' records. Okay. Yeah. I'm sure a few of you are fucking groomers.
Speaking of groomers, Broadcaster Nickels, I have a different type of question for you. What the hell is up with Dave Bautista's head? The dude has canyons running through his... Dave Ballista's head has canyons.
Those are ballista scars.
I'm being serious right now. Did you notice that?
Yeah, I mean, it's probably something to do with... It's probably a skull condition or skin condition.
I've never seen anything like it, man. Every time there was a close-up on his head, I couldn't stop staring. I'm just like, what is that?
Yeah. I mean, I bet you what it really is. Steroids.
Do you think that's a side effect of steroids? Because if you think about it, all the steroided up people that you can think of, most of them have hair. Or wigs or something, like maybe hair plugs, who knows what they actually have. But like you think about Stallone and fucking Schwarzenegger and...
Yeah, there's a weird myth out there, though, that like Hollywood has some secret sauce type steroids that the elite Hollywoods get access to that's like nowhere near as bad as like SARMs and all the rest of the other steroids.
Are you being serious? That's a legit like thing out in the
ether? Well, not only that, but like Hollywood's always had access to the most cutting edge steroids. Like a lot of people outside of like that wheelhouse don't know that like some people don't inject steroids. Some are ingested, some are literally creams you rub on to locations of your body and stuff like that. So steroids have advanced quite a bit, but nonetheless, like there, even to this day, the myth persists that like, you know, whatever Hollywood's taking is so far advanced that like, even if, I mean, it's obviously they're taking something, but the results they get, you know, compared to what other people get with other steroids are just night and day. So it's just like, damn, I want some of that secret sauce, you know.
That is an interesting theory.
Make no mistake, kids. The science of steroids is funded by the most richest industries in the world: sports, entertainment. You know, they want beefy motherfuckers. Yeah. They want them fast and healthy, and then gone.
So I was a little disappointed with certain aspects of this movie. The zombies is probably one of the bigger sticking points. I thought that we were going to have more fast, smart, super zombies than we ended up having. It ended up being like 95% of the movie was with like those slow, stupid, weak zombies that are just like the Walking Dead zombies, like not the fucking Ghost of Mars super beast zombie that actually was in this movie.
Yeah, it kind of like, honestly, when the pool scene happened and they were all like gathered, I was like, damn, Daniel really called it. These are some like Ghost of Mars zombies.
Dude, that's what it was like, but they were only, they were in like 15 minutes of the movie and like only a couple of them did anything? It was a little sad, man. I was a little disappointed by that.
That was kind of like where my comment earlier came from. It all felt like bland. Yeah. And like no sense of purpose. Like they had an alpha zombie, you know, like in the very beginning, you know, when the containment's breached and that zombie gets out. We'll just call him Bob, and old fashioned, right? Bob gets out and fucking just eradicates that whole squad of soldiers, and some of them turn. I'm like, okay, so these are going to be like the alphas. None of them are ever showcased again. right?
Nope. I was expecting, dude, the entire movie, I was expecting to see the guy who got his jaw ripped off, who became like the first of his alphas or whatever.
Yeah.
I was expecting to see him the entire movie. Never shows up. Never.
Yeah, and then like that guy that the dude that sends Ballista in with the squad to begin with. I forget the Japanese guy.
Takada. Yeah.
Yeah, Takada, his boy that he makes go with him.
Garrett
the
Dillahunt.
shady. Yeah, Dillahunt, dude.
He's from Fear the Walking Dead.
Dude, Dillahunt, what the fuck, dude? Like,
dude,
your character was just kind of like a letdown, bro. Like, I was like, all right, dude, I know you're gonna double cross him for sure. I can smell it from a mile away, but your double cross was weak as fuck.
Oh, it was so weak, dude. I couldn't agree with you more on that. One of like I said, many disappointments in this movie. Garrett Dillahunt might be the biggest one because I love him in Deadwood. I love him in Fear the Walking Dead.
I still need to watch Deadwood. I need to write that down.
Deadwood's write that down. Deadwood is amazing. Garrett Dillahunt sucked in this movie. I think that it was mostly the writing, though. I don't think his acting performance was that bad. I think he just wasn't given much to work with. Like you said, he has like this cheesy cartoon villain from the 1960s vibe to him. Like, you see him a mile away, and when he does do his betrayal, you're just like, okay, like, this is just nonsense. And he seemed kind of checked out too in this movie. Like, his best line.
Was checked out.
So the best thing with Dillahunt, and it is sort of his redeeming factor, and almost the entire movie's redeeming factor, is that Dillahunt, when they get into the Las Vegas on their mission originally, and they see Zombie Tiger, he's like, that crossed the line. That scene was fucking awesome. And then at the very end, he ends up getting killed by that tiger. That was awesome too. But other than that, total horseshit character. Other than those two scenes I just mentioned.
Yeah, but again, it was so overplayed. Like when all the zombies storm that building and the tiger like falls back and just sits on the car, and you're like, all right, what's this setting up? And then that guy does the double cross and then just goes right out the front doors, and you know exactly what's about to happen. It's just like, man, no radio call to kind of fill in the gap of like what really his purpose was there. No actual like meat on the bone with that character. He's just dead. And I just thought that was lame. But the other thing too, if you really think about it, what actually got them are like from start to finish. At the very beginning when they introduced Ballista's daughter, right? And why she goes in there. Like, you never, like, you don't even know really who those Mexican girls are.
Nope.
And like,
they're extras, dude. They're fucking extras.
They are, dude. They're totally extras. And like, the whole purpose of her going is for some extras you never know. And also, one of them's a piece of shit. She just like left her two children around in a fucking refugee camp to like fend for themselves. Like, after a known fucking security guard there is like a rapist, like is a known rapist.
Yeah, she left her she left her daughters to be raped by the shady military guy who ends up coming. That's
not a person worth risking your life for to go rescue right now. Like, she wants casino money.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, horrible people. Like these women, like they're horrible people that this daughter is going to save. She's risking everything to go into the zombie apocalypse to save these two horrible women. Like, wouldn't your first reaction if you were her to be, oh, they're dead and she fucked up leaving her kids. I am now going to take these kids and I'm going to protect them. Wouldn't that be the reaction? I'm going to go in and save this bitch.
Like, they foreshadowed exactly what was going to happen.
Yeah.
Like, Ballista took her aside and was just like, listen, you're not going because you're gonna get some people killed. You're gonna make some bad decisions. She's like, no, I'm going anyways. And he's like, all right, you gotta stay right by beside. She's like, okay. And then she fucking darts off, gets people killed. And like, I mean, think about it. Everyone dies pretty much because of her.
Yep. Basically, she's the villain. The zombies aren't the villain. She is.
She is the low-key villain.
Yep. I hated her. I think that she's the worst character in the movie. And she continues the now long-running tradition of writing incredibly unlikable female leads.
Are you talking about the actor?
This character is one of the most unlikable female leads of all time. Ballista's daughter. And it seems like every movie now writes a token, incredibly unlikable female lead or a supporter, whatever. Like, there's always one of these characters now in every movie. And, you know, the movie can still be good despite that. But it's just like, why does every movie need to do this? There are so many examples of awesome female characters. Why do you have to keep going to this poisoned well of like I'm an 18-year-old girl who knows everything and all of the patriarchy will bow to me because I was born with arcane knowledge and I am the best, I am the wokest, and you're all going to die at the hand of God. I mean, wait a second. Doesn't Islam beat women? Maybe not God. I don't know where I was going with that. But the point is, these characters suck and they're unbelievably unlikable and no one likes them. And they keep getting put in these movies for no reason other than to just be there.
Yeah, well, it's like, I think what it is that the old trope of like a man, like, you know, the white knight coming to the rescue is not allowed anymore. And like the whole, the gender's reversed in that archetype is just kind of cringy and just not well received. Even like, you know, the most politically correct of people and like content creators know that. So they make this weird, perverse creation that is like, all right, well, we can't make a man or a female rescuing a man, really. Or we can't have a strong man rescuing a weak woman type of scenario anymore. So we're going to like make strong women rescue some Mexican refugees because that's super topical, ? I just like, that's what you know what I'm saying? Like they were trying, that's the trope they're trying to fill in with these storylines, you know? And that's just the best they got. That's the form they can come up with in this politically correct age.
It's so sad, dude. This movie,
because you know, that's if this
good.
movie was 15, 20 years younger, that's what would be there instead. You know, that's what would be there instead. There would be no strong female right there. It'd probably most likely been a strong male rescuing his girlfriend that was about to get turned into the zombie queen or something like that. That's exactly how it would have gone down 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Now it's something so fucking weird.
Yeah, they've just like inverted reality, basically. It's like they don't like old men being like the keepers of wisdom. Like it was like think about the entire history of humanity up until 10 years ago or 12 years ago, whenever this really started. The meme, the permanent meme across all of human history was the old wise man in the tower. You know what I mean? Socrates and like all these people that were like these old white men, or I'm sure that there were Asian, like Confucius is the Asian version. Like there are versions of this in all cultures and all races where it's like the old man with his wisdom. They want to squash that and invert it, and so they make the old man this dopey, stupid dork, and the daughter, the young woman, to be like this font of wisdom that comes to her by DNA or something. Like she didn't live long enough to gain any of it, but she knows best and she knows, you know, what you should do. And she is the focal point of all strategy and knowledge within the universe. And it's unbelievable how far they've pushed it.
Taxation's theft. I feel you, brother.
If they made like a Merlin movie, Merlin would be Caitlyn Jenner. Okay.
Oh God!
Like
I would actually want. I want to see that movie. I want to get blasted, dude. I saw Caitlyn Jenner dress up as Epion on Dancing with the Stars or whatever it's called. And that fucking, I forgot what she's singing, but it was funny.
That was one of the most horrifying things I've ever seen in my life.
It's nightmare inducing, but you know what?
Oh my God.
All the power to her.
Yeah. Well, I will say in the positive sense that I really liked most of the direction of this movie, and I liked most of the music. I liked most of the pacing. But there's just some weird anomalies throughout. Like, you think about that really cool anime intro at the beginning of the movie. That didn't fit the rest of the tone of the movie going past that at all. It was almost like it was from a different movie. Did you notice that?
What do you mean? From what point?
The cool anime intro they do with all the characters at the beginning of the movie?
The anime intro?
Yeah, they do this thing where like it shows each character using their signature weapon, doing a signature kill, and then like a little like glamour shot behind a white screen with like a photo of them as their character. You don't remember that?
Animated though.
No. I mean anime style, like anime intro.
Okay, yeah.
That didn't fit with the rest of the movie at all. Like when I first saw that, I'm like, okay, this is going to be interesting. Like this is a cool way to start a movie. It's very different. It has a vibe. That vibe vanished. The rest of the movie did not match it whatsoever. And there's a couple spots like that.
Yeah, I mean, it was just their trick to try to make a lived-in world. A more lived-in world, because there's not a lot of meat on the bones with these characters. But that intro is kind of supposed to set up, I don't even know. It's like a montage of history, like now It's kind of like an anime, where they're like last time on Dragon Ball Z.
I did think that the overall story was good, even though, like, we kind of made fun of early on. It's sort of an Ocean's 11 ripoff with a zombie backdrop. But, forgiving that, I think overall the story's all right. Like, it's a good... Like, if you're going to do a zombie movie, you don't want to do just, like, the standard, Night of the Living Dead, like, that's been played out a billion times. You need to do something different. I think that this angle was cool. And the writing was okay in spots, but I think the acting was super questionable in this movie. Like, I don't understand why Zack Snyder cast some of these people.
Well, I think like the rapey security guard, he was the second season villain in Luke Cage, which was a Netflix show. Which makes me think that he's a reoccurring Netflix actor. So, and I think that's kind of how these projects work. That's how they save money. It's like they get loyalty actors or whatever, that allow them to save money or something like that. But
yeah,
I noticed that right off the bat. He's been in a lot of Netflix shows.
Yeah. Well, just a quick rundown from my perspective. I think Ballista was basically as wooden as it gets.
Ballista's wooden, period, though.
He is, but like this was teak. This is like teak wooden. Like I don't even
Ballista's a fucking big dough boy, who thinks he has range, which, all power to him, but we all know.
Yeah. I think that was the female partner of Ballista, was that Penelope Cruz, or was that someone who just looks like Penelope Cruz?
That was like Penelope Cruz's less attractive sister.
Yeah, okay, so it wasn't her, just someone who looks like her. She was probably the best actor in the movie, and I didn't really like her that much, but she was actually doing real acting in it. Most of these characters, like the coyote, the little...
She was terrible.
Oh, she reminded me of like a CW comic book television show. Like, she was really bad. My boy Garrett Dillahunt was okay, but not his greatest performance either. We already talked about the daughter sucking ass. I mean, Takada probably, even though he's not in a lot of scenes, probably the best actor in the movie. There's just not a lot of acting chops.
What's his name with the chainsaw?
He was good. Yeah, he was good too.
And also the safe cracker, he was pretty funny.
The safe
the
cracker.
White German kid.
Yeah, you mean the cuck, the cuck of the movie. Yeah, his acting was good, but the writing of his lines is a little. I mean, he had some good scenes and he had some bad scenes in terms of writing. His acting was good. You're right, though. He did the best he could do with the role, which was to be the punching bag of the movie. And I don't know, man. I'm just kind of sick of this meta. Like, we have this meta in movies right now of, like, we have, like, the unlikable female lead. We have the fucking dopey male lead who gets corrected by the woman in the end. And we have, like, the dopey younger guy who's, like, really good at doing functional stuff that everyone needs done, but everyone shits on him like he's useless. You have, like, the unquestionably, unrealistically badass female character that does shit that is impossible, but we're just supposed to believe that she can do it. And we have just Crystalia erased from existence. It's just, I mean, Tig Notaro was all right, but this movie has bad vibes. That's the best way I can put it, is when you watch it, there's just some bad vibes coming from the acting room. Overall.
I mean, it's a low budget flick. Let's be real.
The
biggest part of this movie is Zack Snyder's name. I think that's why a lot of people go into it. That and the trailer is pretty high budget for how good the trailer of the movie looks.
Yeah,
you're surprised.
Whoever made that trailer,
the movie is.
I hope they got a fat check, because they made that movie look way better than it was.
Yeah, but I think Zack Snyder's the biggest part of this movie, in name alone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and all right, Broadcaster Nickels. As you know, here in the Crack Cellar, we do have a segment that we grudgingly call
moment.
The hit, the miss, and the whip.
One moment, sir.
How dare you?
I want to ask you a question. Now, I may have been high as fuck watching this movie.
Okay.
But I rewound it.
Let's go.
And it happened twice in this movie. Did you see the robots?
Oh, you mean the Shamblers?
Yeah.
Yes, I did.
Okay. All right. Because you not bringing it up really made me think. I was just like, okay, wait a minute. Because two of those fucking zombies were shot, and they were clearly robots, and they like went out of their way to make sure you knew they were robots. And they never addressed it. Like, not even a fucking clue. Well, it was just...
I'm not sure... See, I don't think it was as obvious as you think it was. When I saw it, when I noticed it, I'm like, oh, they were using robots as extras because they didn't have enough people. I thought it was an actual question of, like, them failing to cover up that they were using robots.
No, I think it goes hand in hand with the premise is that they were trying to recover the biological material of one of the alphas, because that's what the whole premise. That's how Las Vegas happened. Is an alpha or a key or a master alpha got out, and they weren't able. There was no other organism they had that could replicate that DNA or whatever. So that was the whole reason of them going in there to get it. The robots. The only thing I could theorize is that was a failed attempt by the government to collect data on the zombies. They mingled in some robots into the zombie crowds and just collected data via satellite or something. You think? Like, I mean, that's the only thing. The plausible reason why there'd be robot zombies. Like, the zombies aren't building those robots.
I think I interpreted it a little different than you, but you could be right. Maybe that was something I was just underthinking and didn't go into the depths that you did. But I didn't really think that they were actually supposed to be robots. I think that I was thinking that that's just like they fucked up and they didn't cover up.
The CGI?
Yes, exactly. That's what I was thinking. Now, you could be right, and they were going to go in some weird story direction that they just cut in the editing room floor. Now that you're bringing it up, it makes me wonder. Because
no, because they had like a blue LED glow and stuff. Like it was definitely people added that in post production. That wasn't just
you think so?
Yeah, that wasn't just some miss. That was like time spent on that. I think it was supposed to be a robot.
Okay.
That the jarring thing to me is no one reacted to it. That's the only thing that could lend credence to what you're saying is none of the actors themselves or the characters themselves reacted to them being robots. It never got addressed. It was just
that's exactly why I thought that. Yeah, I'm just at the end of the day, I'm just looking at it like, okay, so they fucked up somewhere with the effects.
If that's what ends up being the truth, then my jaw's on the floor because that is just incompetence to the moon, and I need a job in this department. Or is I like, are you kidding me? These are the type of people that have got these type of jobs nowadays. Unbelievable.
All right, Broadcaster Nickels, hit, miss, and whiff. What is your hit?
The hit. The hit. You know, honestly, I don't know.
Damn, there's an indictment. No hit from Broadcaster Nickels. Should we allow that? Should we just allow like that to be like a sort of red mark on the review where you say there is no hit? Should we just make that a thing?
Yeah, just put mark at 0.
Well, Broadcaster Nickels, my hit, and I did have to reach for this one a little bit, is the zombie baby. That whole zombie baby thing was fucking savage and brutal. Like, first of all, just that whole pool scene with him like a fucking monster just kind of putting his ear up to the belly and sort of just like making those guttural noises and like moving around. I'm just like, oh fuck. And then when he fucking actually takes the body of the bitch and pulls the baby out of her stomach, that was probably the most savage thing I've seen all year. That was pretty fucking crazy. And I gotta give them credit. I did not expect them to do anything even close to that. They had the balls to do it.
Word.
That being said, Broadcaster Nickels, what is your miss?
It'd probably be the zombies or the zombie intelligentsia, whatever you want to call it. Itself, it was kind of a letdown. Like it had the potential of being really cool, you know, this like covenant of like intelligent zombies in Las Vegas, quarantined, creating like super alpha, like breeding super alpha zombies, and the queen was about to have the first birthed zombie ever, you know, like, and it all just like falls flat. All of it.
Oh, so your hit my hit is your miss, is what you're saying.
Yeah. And like even like the main alpha baddies, like the fight was a letdown.
Big time.
Like he just ends up being a brute in the end. And for some reason, like
he reminded me of Juggernaut from X-Men.
Yeah, and he's clearly depowered compared to the beginning of the movie.
Oh yeah.
It's like you think like him, like his queen getting fucking dismembered and like baby dying like would put him in enraged boss mode, but like he gets weakened. It's weird. Like I don't know, it didn't make any sense, and
I thought they might have used that whole. Remember how in the beginning where they kind of they hung a lantern on the zombies being dead when they first entered. Like, oh yeah, it's because they were too dumb to get out of the sun. You know, the sun makes them weak, and so they died. I think that throwaway scene was actually to defend what you're talking about. I think that they want you to think that his exposure over time to the sun in Las Vegas has weakened his powers.
Maybe. I mean, honestly, like, they also could have a shelf life, too. Like, I mean, he is undead. True. I mean, he could still degrade over time on some level. I'm not sure, but...
True.
It just seemed... It seemed weird, especially when they get into Las Vegas for the first time and he has the cape and the fucking staff and he's like sitting up there on the fucking Liberty statue.
That was pretty cool.
I'm like, all right, I'm expecting like a badass boss fight, like some Rube Goldberg traps in some of these buildings, some real cool shit, but no.
No. Well, broadcaster.
He just kind of is a moany bitch. Just a moany bitch.
Yeah, the alpha ended up becoming a beta in the end. Spoiler alert. My miss, though, is the thing that I was most excited about from the preview that didn't pan out the way I expected it to. And that would be the zombie tiger, broadcaster Nickels. When I saw that trailer, I thought the zombie tiger was going to be a key factor in this movie. I thought that he was going to be like the attack cat of the big alpha, like he literally like a hunter in World of Warcraft with his pet, sending it out with the kill command and shit. Like I was expecting some really epic shit with the zombie tiger,
Beastmaster shit.
Yeah. No, what we end up getting is like a throwaway scene early with him just kind of wandering the perimeter and then be like, oh yeah, he just wanders the perimeter for the big cool smart zombies, ha 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 ha. And then he kills Garrett Dillahunt. That's like his entire impact on the movie. That's bullshit, man. Like, you could have done so much cooler with that zombie tiger. You fucking blew it, guys.
It also, I mean, if you were going right off the trailer, like when you see the tiger, you're like, oh, that's the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
Like, what else is in Las Vegas?
Mm-hmm.
Nothing.
No zombie alligators.
Zombie flamingos, parrots. Like even in the like intro where they show like the zombie dancers eating that dude in the hot tub and shit, like there's no character to the end of any of the zombies in the main chunk of the movie.
Nope.
It's just hordes of zombies.
No. Yeah, and I mean that beginning part of the movie was probably the best part, right? Like the whole backstory. Yeah. Like that was the highlight of the entire movie, which is sad because that's like the sort of the intro to the movie, like that's supposed to get you ready for the good stuff, and
that would have been a cooler movie.
That was the good stuff. Yeah,
that would have been a cooler movie. Like in the middle of that, of Las Vegas getting quarantined for the first time.
Yeah, for sure. Like if they made a movie that was just about that part only, it would have probably been a way better movie. That's a great point. That being said, broadcaster Nickels, as you know, we also have a whiff. What is yours?
I think it's the robots.
The robots.
I don't understand, Zack Snyder. Give me a sign. Like, I'm not going with yours. Like, I refuse to believe that they've been like they were using some state of the art fucking mechanical humanoid shit to replace live human extras. Dude. And they forgot to CGI edit them. Especially with the blue afterglow they get when they get shot, like they have to be purposely there. They have to be robots, zombie robots. And I like you just got to think, why is a zombie robot there? Is there some secret elite cabal out there that's doing research on this? Like, is this like Las Vegas just like a fucking elite project for the richest people in the world to collect data on humans fighting zombies or something? Like, what the fuck is this? Like, just seemed like one of those things that like they forgot they didn't explain or something. Like it just was so nonchalantly thrown in there. They're just like, oh yeah, they know about the robot zombies. You know?
I almost feel like Christopher Nolan dared him to do it. Like Christopher Nolan and Zack Snyder were just having beers at a pub, and Nolan just looks at him like, I dare you to put robot zombies in and not explain them. And Zack Snyder looked at him, he's like, game on.
Like, it'd been way cooler, like, at the end, spoiler alert, when Ballista gets a fucking Ballista Jr. in the head, you know? It would have been crazy if he ended up being a robot. Then they explained it, you know, like the man in fucking black comes down and just fucking off of the helicopter, rappels down, and he's like, look, we want to recruit you in the program. You're our newest asset, you know, and they just bag and tag fucking Ballista, you know. But no, there's none of that.
Yeah, I think that's part of the problem is this movie is skin deep, and you kind of look at it and you see the trailers and you kind of go through it and you're just expecting there to be a depth that just doesn't exist.
It's not there.
It isn't. And that being said, my whiff is what I'm going to dub Kenny Rogers Gate. How dare you not put Kenny Rogers in the fucking movie? You fucking use him to sell tickets to Netflix. You put him in your trailer, make it all epic and awesome. And then when you get into the movie, no fucking Kenny Rogers. What a goddamn disgrace, Broadcaster Nickels.
Yeah, well, typical lies.
I feel like starting a class action lawsuit to sue them for misleading advertisements. I expected The Gambler to be in this goddamn movie, and it was not. It totally changed my entire outlook on what this... Like, I just think about that trailer, I'm like thinking, what if instead of The Gambler from Kenny Rogers, we got Born This Way by... Who's the pop star that sang that? Was that Lady Gaga, or was it like Taylor Swift? I don't know. But let's just insert generic pop song here instead of The Gambler, Kenny Rogers. I might have not even watched this movie. These fuckers tricked me.
Oh, they knew what they were doing.
Yes,
they needed your money.
They did. And Broadcaster Nickels, we also know what we're doing when we give our official, patented Cage ratings for every video game, movie, television series, and twice anime that we review on that system.
Exclusive Nickels. Made in Abyss reviewers.
I can't believe that the only anime we've reviewed is Made in Abyss. We got to change that. But back to the point. Broadcaster Nickels, what is your official patented Nick Cage rating for Zack Snyder's Army of the Dead?
You ever seen Steel?
Shaq?
Shaq?
Yes, I have seen that movie several times. Go on.
Well, not that movie, but the other one.
Goddamn.
Shazam.
Oh, that's the one that people thought that actually had what's his name in it, right? Like that's like that whole alternate timelines theory. Shazam. What was the guy?
The original? It's the original Mandela Effect movie.
Yeah, like what?
Sinbad.
Sinbad. Yeah. So like everyone thinks it was Sinbad, but it was Shaquille O'Neal or something like that.
It was Sinbad, Daniel.
Or no, okay, it's reverse. I don't know.
No, it was Shaq, but people say it was Sinbad.
That's what I just said. God damn it! Don't fuck with me.
No, Daniel.
How dare you? Yeah. So what about Shazam, Broadcaster Nickels? Please go on.
It's the fake Shazam. I give it a fake Shazam.
Okay. That is not an option on Cage rating system that you invented yourself, Broadcaster Nickels.
I'll give it a loose foundation, a loose rock. I'm gonna give it a loose rock.
A rock with some serious water erosion. Oh shit. Yeah, I'm actually going to give it a Wicker Man.
I knew that was coming.
I love Zack Snyder, and this is probably his weakest movie. This is the bottom of the barrel for him, and it's still a decent movie, kind of. But when you look at all of his other movies, and then you look at this movie, you're like, man, were you like having a bad day when you wrote this one, or like when you made this one? It just was not executed correctly. I don't know what happened, if it was his wife pulling the strings in the wrong direction, or if maybe he wasn't involved in it as much as he leads on. There was something missing here. There was bad acting, there was bad writing, there was just some things that you don't typically see in a Zack Snyder movie. And
I think this is what they call in the biz phoning it in.
Yes. I would go with that as well. And with that, we will close out. You gotta know when to fold.
It's common Assad tactic.